Hello my friends, I'm Rich Larson and I'm the IRC Tire Guy. Today we're talking why you suck at downhills. That is, of course, if you do suck at downhills. I get a lot of DMs and questions about downhill specifics. I also see a lot of mistakes when riders approach downhills. The common lack of confidence in downhill situations, as always, is derived from the same lack of fundamental techniques I see on a daily basis in my private lessons. Today, we have some perfect drills and techniques that, if practiced and implemented, can completely change the way you approach those sketchy downhills. So let's get into it. My number one rule for downhills is slow as you can for as long as you can. You don't approach steep downhills fast. The slower you go at the top, the slower you'll be going at the bottom. Well, if you don't have your static balance completely dialed, you probably suck at really steep downhills. My goal in basically any downhill is to be able to stop at any given time. Of course, that's not always possible, but my focus on that goal is always in mind. This rule, as slow as you can for as long as you can, has to be done with your feet on the pegs. If you're fighting with your balance on downhills, this causes you to dab, right? Well, dabbing on a downhill, no matter your height or inseam, is never ideal. As you can see, dabbing often causes you to move forward on the machine. The further forward you move, the more your front brake becomes the only form of stopping power. You end up de-weighting the rear tire, causing you to move faster and faster. The problem compounds and often ends in a lockup of the front tire and an over-the-bars crash. So step one to mastering downhills is complete balance control. If you don't have complete balance, you end up needing to move at a higher speed to maintain your balance. The higher speed at the top of the hill equals higher speed at the bottom. Again, on most steep downhills, my goal is to be able to completely stop at any time that I want. So when we talk dialing your balance, I have to mention cone drills. The videos we've done on these drills are guaranteed to help your downhill skill. You can check it out right here. On top of those drills, I have a bunch of extra tips for that downhill approach. A great way to find that confidence needed is practicing a repeated stop and go without dabbing on a downhill you are comfortable with. You can start mellow and work your way bigger and bigger and steeper, but the goal remains the same. Controlled balance, no dabs, and initiating acceleration and deceleration. It's a great opportunity while practicing this drill to focus on performing proper braking techniques. Whether it's a hard enduro downhill or braking for a motocross corner, most of the techniques remain the same. Now, we did do a proper braking technique video you can check out right here. That was a moto and trail corner specific video, but I see a lot of the same mistakes being made on downhills. And truly, the risk is a little bit higher in these downhill situations. Commonly, I see riders fully lock their brakes here, especially the rear. This is often caused by the rider completely engaging the clutch while riding downhill. Pulling the clutch all the way in causes the machine to freewheel. This is basically like riding down the hill in neutral. Obviously, having the addition of engine braking assists in not only slowing the machine, but it also prevents the rear tire from locking up. Because the use of both engine and rear brakes is applied, the engine acts as sort of an anti-lock brake system, allowing you to stop faster. Now, most downhills, I try to keep the machine running for this advantage. But as we all know, in hard enduro, some of these insane downhills we encounter, a bike-off approach is required. In this approach, we still use an engine braking technique, but now with a reversed procedure. With the bike on, we leave the clutch disengaged and slightly feather it in to prevent stalling. With the bike off, we fully engage the clutch and feather slightly out to disengagement. The focus here is slipping that clutch out enough to add the addition of engine braking, but not enough to lock the rear tire or bump start the bike. During either approach, bike on or off, we also focus on maximizing both brakes at the same time. But as I feel the front or rear tire lock up, I use an alternating pressure between the front and rear brake. If I feel my rear tire begin to lock, I reduce the pressure on the rear pedal and add additional pressure on the front brake. If the front tire begins to lock, it's vice versa. The alternation of both brakes as well as the addition of engine braking is a sure way to increase your stopping ability. Some additional tips I have to mention. While focusing on finding additional balance, I recommend practicing full lock turn balance. These type of drills help you understand the ability to uncouple completely from the bike, allowing you to move your body independently in relation to what your machine is doing. This movement allows you to understand how to stay in the center of your machine much easier, not only from left to right for balance, but back and forth for uphill and downhill situations. Of course, while approaching steep downhills, it required hips back attack position, straight arms pushing through the bars with the palms of our hands. We're almost holding a plank position with our arms. Hinging and maximizing your hips back allows for additional weight on the rear tire and more influence over your stopping speed with the rear brake. As we said earlier, while the bike is running, proper form is no clutch braking. Practicing no clutch braking on flat ground is a great way to learn not only the form of how to feather that rear brake with your foot, but also the distinct sound of the rear brake and engine braking together. That chain slap sound is what we look for no matter the style of riding, hard enduro to motocross. I hope these tips help you find confidence in your downhill approach. If you're enjoying the channel, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, as well as follow us on Instagram at IRC Moto and my personal Instagram page at RichLarson511. And until next time, keep shredding.